Once upon a time, perhaps in a realm not so different from our own, there lived a notion, a widely held belief that transforming one's reality required an arduous journey. Months, even years, of intense visualization, relentless effort, and profound healing were thought to be necessary. Breakthroughs, it was said, were rewards earned through prolonged suffering, a testament to one's endurance. Alignment, the ultimate prize, arrived only after ticking every box on the spiritual checklist and mastering every technique imaginable. People toiled, striving, pushing themselves towards a future they envisioned, convinced that effort was the sole key to unlocking their potential. But what if, instead of this arduous climb, the actual shift, the true quantum leap, occurred in a moment so fleeting, so subtle, that it went unnoticed by most? What if the transformative spark wasn't ignited by relentless effort, but by a cessation, a ceasing of the struggle? Imagine an invisible pattern, discernible only to the keenly observant, appearing just before a life took an unexpected turn. It wasn't about working harder or trying more. Rather, it was about the cessation of forcing, the silencing of doubt, the abandonment of relentless pursuit. This is the moment the universe responds, not to your exertions, but to your stillness. It's a delicate dance, a subtle shift in energy. This hidden pattern, this cessation of the inner turmoil, allows the field to respond. This story, then, is not merely a narrative, but a journey of discovery, a quest to understand this paradoxical truth, and how simplicity, often overlooked in our complex world, is the very key to unlocking profound change. This simplicity threatens the ego, the false self, which thrives on struggle, drama, and the illusion of control. It creates a conflict, a tension between the soul's clarity and the ego's desperate clinging to its familiar patterns of survival. We reside in a world hopelessly addicted to struggle. Effort is not just valued, it's glorified. Complexity is not merely accepted, it's worshipped. Anything that appears too simple is immediately dismissed as flawed, incomplete, or even wrong. If something arrives easily, it's often met with suspicion, deemed undeserved, a stroke of luck rather than a testament to one's true potential. But the quantum field, that unseen force shaping our realities, doesn't respond to the intensity of our efforts. It responds to the clarity of our intention, to the purity of our energy, the cleanliness of our frequency. And clarity, almost invariably, is found in simplicity. This inherent simplicity threatens the ego's carefully constructed narrative. For if the path to transformation is simple, then what was the purpose of all the struggle? What becomes of the identity meticulously built around a lifetime of trying, fixing, and constantly proving oneself? Simplicity strips away the layers of drama, the elaborate camouflage that shields us from our deeper truths. The ego's carefully constructed facade begins to crumble under the weight of such stark simplicity. Without the drama, there's nothing left to hide behind. This is precisely why many unconsciously sabotage their own potential for transformation. It's not because they are inherently flawed, but because the quiet truth of simplicity is far too unsettling. They anticipate a dazzling display of fireworks, a dramatic shift of monumental proportions. Yet the universe often responds with something quite different, with stillness, with silence, the very opposite of their fervent expectations. But within that profound silence lies the very essence of transformation. The quantum field acts as an unwavering mirror, reflecting our innermost being. It's not awaiting your next affirmation, it's vibrating in resonance with your current state of being. The moment you relinquish your desperate attempts to force the outcome, the moment you cease pushing and simply become, the feedback loop begins to shift, begins to change. You begin to stop waiting for external validation to confirm your inner knowing, a profound shift in perspective. You cease attempting to adjust your frequency to match your circumstances. Instead, you maintain your tone, your inner vibration, regardless of external events. This is the fundamental difference between manifesting and shifting. Manifesting often implies creation out of a place of lack, while shifting entails becoming the version of yourself that already exists in a parallel now. The only thing separating you from that desired timeline is the filter of your own frequency, the energy you are consistently emitting, the vibration you are constantly broadcasting. It's not a matter of time or effort, it's purely a matter of energy. So let's ponder this. What if the difficulty isn't inherent in the shift itself, but rather in its unfamiliarity? What if we've been attempting to force our way into a new timeline through mental effort instead of feeling our way there? And what if the true obstacle isn't our external environment, but rather our attachment to unnecessary complexity, our resistance to the simplicity that holds the key to our transformation? The resistance to ease, the feeling of unease that can accompany the very start of positive momentum, that's another key. Many experience a sense of dread, anxiety, or fear. The mind clamors for external proof, for visible signs of the shift that confirms their inner knowing, their intuition. But often, the internal clarity clashes with this external need for validation. This creates a conflict, a tug-of-war between the soul's understanding and the ego's desperate demands. In the following sections, we'll delve into the reasons why many fail to stabilize their signal, how blind spots create energetic static that interferes with the universal flow, the hidden ways we resist resonance, and how to begin broadcasting from a place the universe can truly hear. This simplicity, this seemingly effortless path, is the portal to our true potential. Once we truly feel this, once we experience this simplicity, everything changes, shifts, transforming our lives in ways we could barely have imagined. But if this quantum shift is so simple, why do so few experience it? Why does it feel as though an invisible barrier keeps us trapped in recurring emotional patterns, even when we know better? Why do our efforts often reach a plateau precisely when we believe we are on the brink of breakthrough? The answer lies not in a lack of effort, but in a lack of awareness. Simplicity demands something far more challenging than mere effort. It requires profound self-awareness. And this awareness, without the comforting safety net of complexity, can feel terrifying, intimidating. When things are complicated, we can easily blame external factors, the tools we use, the methods we employ, the processes we follow. But when the path to transformation is revealed as simple, there's nowhere left to hide. The spotlight shines directly inward, leaving us with a single, unavoidable question. Am I truly ready to shift? Let's begin by identifying what blocks most people from maintaining the right frequency. Blind spots. These aren't flaws, they're ingrained patterns, so familiar that we're blind to their existence. They're emotional reflexes we've normalized, behavioral patterns so ingrained they feel like second nature. They're narratives we've repeated so often that they've become accepted truths, shaping our perceptions and influencing our actions. But here's the critical point. The quantum field doesn't respond to our conscious desires. It responds to our unconscious state of being. While our conscious minds may be diligently visualizing abundance, our unconscious frequencies may still be rooted in scarcity.
This isn't necessarily due to a lack of trying, but rather a failure to question our default settings, our inherent energetic patterns. Take a moment to reflect on this. Consider what energy you are emitting when no one is watching, when you are not actively engaging in the work, when you allow yourself to simply be. What is the prevailing emotional climate of your inner world during these moments of unguarded introspection? This, my friend, is your true frequency. This is the vibrational signal that the universe is picking up, the energetic signature that shapes your experience. This is where true mastery begins, a mastery far surpassing simple willpower or intention. The first step towards this mastery is self-awareness. This is not merely journaling or daily reflection, it's a deeper, more profound level of awareness, one that observes thoughts as they arise, without judgment, without the urge to fix or change. It's the ability to recognize when we are reacting from a place of survival and choosing not to get swept away by the immediate impulse, not to collapse into that familiar, albeit limiting pattern of response. This is crucial, for it is only from this place of self-awareness that we can begin to craft a truly authentic reality. The next stage is even more challenging, even more transformative: radical responsibility. This is where the cleaning of our frequency truly begins. It's not about self-blame. It's about claiming ownership of everything we emit, including the aspects we'd rather disown, the parts we find uncomfortable or difficult to accept. It's about shifting from the victim mentality, the self-pitying question of, "Why is this happening to me?" to a place of inquiry, a place where we ask, "What is this showing me about my resonance?" When we shift our focus from blame to understanding, the field responds differently. Victimhood is a loud, incoherent energy, while ownership is quiet but magnetic. And then comes the skill that amplifies everything: accountability states. These are the vibrational anchors that we return to, regardless of what life throws our way. Many wait for life to validate their state, but those who truly shift hold their frequency until life is forced to reflect it. Accountability means showing up for our chosen state, even when it's inconvenient, even when external evidence contradicts our inner knowing. It means persevering even when we feel like nothing is moving, even when the doubts creep in. And finally, perhaps the most paradoxical skill: detachment from perception. We are taught to judge everything, to label experiences as good or bad, success or failure. We believe that these judgments shape our trajectory, influencing what unfolds in our lives. But what if our perceived low moments are actually the final stage before a profound shift? What if what feels like a breakdown is merely our old frequency collapsing on itself, making space for something new? Detachment doesn't mean an absence of feeling. It means an absence of labeling. It means allowing experience to move through us without assigning it a judgment, without attaching to a verdict. The quantum field is not linear. The darkest moment may be the exact calibration needed for the light to finally break through. We are not simply learning to think differently. We are learning to hold our vibration as if it were the only truth. This is crucial, for it is this unwavering commitment to our chosen state that unlocks the true potential of quantum shifting. This requires courage, a willingness to move beyond the familiar, the comfortable, into the uncharted territory of self-discovery. It's easier to distract ourselves with methods and mantras, but harder to sit in stillness and admit, "I've been looping because I'm still filtering life through old stories." The quantum shift isn't merely complex, it's surgical, precise. It cuts straight through illusions, exposing the parts of us that still cling to chaos as a source of life, and it asks a simple, direct question: will you finally let these limiting pieces rest? In the coming sections, we will explore in depth the period immediately preceding the shift, that strange, energetic tension that builds when our old identity begins to crumble and our new timeline comes within reach. Most mistake this for failure, but if we know what to look for, we recognize it as the threshold of our breakthrough. This transformative period, so often misinterpreted as a setback or a sign to give up, is actually a vital stage in the quantum shifting process. There's a moment, subtle and disorienting, often misunderstood, that invariably precedes a true quantum shift. It's the moment when the old timeline begins to unravel, but the new one hasn't yet fully solidified. You feel suspended, as if standing in a hallway between two realities. The past no longer fits, the future remains unclear, and everything within you screams for action. Yet, this is the very edge of the breakthrough. This space, this liminal period, is sacred. However, it doesn't feel that way initially. It often manifests as confusion, overwhelming fatigue, a sense of misalignment, or even despair. We may feel like we are failing, that the path we were so certain about has vanished, that our vision is crumbling instead of blossoming. And if we don't understand what's happening, we might misinterpret this as a sign to turn back, to shrink, to redouble our efforts, or even to doubt ourselves entirely. But the truth is, this is not a collapse, it's a calibration. Before any quantum jump, Our energetic field must release its current coherence pattern. Think of it like detuning from one radio station before locking onto another. There's a period of static in between, a period of disorientation, emotional noise, and an intense urge to retreat. But this isn't a warning, it's a threshold. The old frequency can no longer sustain your next chapter. It's no longer capable of supporting the evolution that is about to unfold. What is actually occurring during this period of seeming chaos is a dismantling of the energy that held your old identity together. The beliefs, habits, and energetic patterns that defined who you were are losing their power, their hold. Without this familiar structure, the ego panics, creating fear, doubt, and restlessness in an attempt to pull you back into the familiar, albeit limiting loop. This is the moment where most people give up, not because the field has rejected them, but because they misinterpret the friction of transformation as failure. The truth is, if it feels shaky, you're close. If things seem uncertain, you're almost there. What you're experiencing is your frequency shedding everything that no longer aligns with your new trajectory. This is why detachment is crucial. If we judge this transitional space too soon, we assign a meaning that pulls us backward. We label it as wrong, stuck, proof that nothing is working. The moment we do this, we inadvertently stabilize the old pattern, hindering the breakthrough. But if we remain centered, not through effort, but through awareness, something begins to shift beneath the surface. The chaos softens, the edges dissolve. We begin to feel our way forward, not force our way, becoming magnetic not through striving, but ceasing the leakage of energy in the form of resistance. Right before the shift, your nervous system is learning to hold more power, a power that derives not from intensity, but from coherence. When we choose to remain present in uncertainty without labeling it, our field organizes itself around our stillness, around our unwavering commitment to our chosen frequency. This is the moment the quantum field responds, the moment where the energy of our intention aligns with the energy of the universe. So what can you do in that transitional space? Nothing in the traditional sense. This is not the time for fixing, hustling, or pushing.
This is the time for tuning. Breathe into the discomfort. Observe the stories arising within. Soften into the timeline unfolding. Your job is not to force a new reality. Your job is to become available for it. This is the true shift, not controlling the outcome, but surrendering to the vibration that already contains it, already holds it within its embrace. This is the essence of the transformative journey. Not merely striving for a new outcome, but embracing a new state of being. Now, let's dissect precisely how the field reads your signal, how your attention acts as a selector, how coherence becomes a command, and why effort in and of itself is the least effective way to generate lasting change. What you will discover is this: you don't shift reality. You shift into the version of you that already resides within that reality. And that shift, that profound transformation, begins now, in this very moment. Now that you've grasped the truth of coherence and the power of resonance, it's time to explore how the quantum field actually responds. If you've ever wondered why some intentions manifest instantly while others remain elusive, the answer lies in this. The field doesn't reward desire. It reflects your dominant vibration. And that vibration is dictated by where your attention consistently resides. Let's break that down. The quantum field is infinite. Every version of you already exists within it. Every potential outcome is already encoded, waiting not to be created, but to be observed. The observer effect in quantum mechanics reveals that particles don't solidify into matter until they are measured, focused upon, collapsed from wave into form. This implies that your attention isn't merely passive, it's constructive. It chooses which version of reality steps forward, which potential timeline manifests in your experience. This is why quantum shifting isn't about controlling outcomes, it's about selecting them with your focus and stabilizing that selection with your state of being. Most people are unaware that their attention is fragmented. They may think about abundance in the morning, worry about lack in the afternoon, and drift off to sleep in a fog of doubt. This isn't consistency. It's a chaotic broadcast, a discordant energy that hinders rather than facilitates the manifestation of your desires. The field doesn't punish this chaos, it simply reflects it. That's why the results appear scrambled, delayed, unclear. But when your attention becomes laser-focused, when you learn to hold your vision without chasing it, needing it, or doubting it, something extraordinary happens. The potential timeline begins to organize around you. People, resources, opportunities, and even seemingly insignificant decisions align, not through effort, but through entrainment, through resonance. You're not forcing reality to change, you're collapsing into the version of reality that's already vibrating at your frequency. But here's a crucial nuance that's often overlooked. You don't shift with thought alone, you shift with identity. Your thoughts may yearn for the shift, but your subconscious identity, the deep, often unspoken emotional signature you operate from, may still be tuned to the old pattern, to the old paradigm. And if that's the case, the field will mirror the identity, not the thought. This is where the internal work becomes paramount, not as a to-do list, but as a process of remembering. Each time you bring yourself back to coherence, not from fixing, but from remembering, you reinforce a new identity. Not an identity you're trying to become, but one that already exists within you, awaiting permission to emerge, to lead. So ask yourself, who are you being right now? Not in performance, not in effort, but in tone, in truth, in stillness. Because that version of you, the one already living the life you've been visualizing, is not waiting, it's available. And you access it not by reaching, but by receiving, by aligning yourself with that inherent, authentic self. This is the cornerstone of the quantum shifting process, this commitment to being, to embodying your already existing potential. In this final section, we will crystallize this journey. You will learn how to fully integrate quantum shifting as a natural process, not something you do, but something you live. We'll also decode the final key to stabilizing your new timeline, ensuring that it doesn't merely appear temporarily, but becomes your new normal, your enduring reality. This is not just a shift, but about a permanent, transformative change. You now understand that the quantum field doesn't respond to effort, it responds to coherence. It doesn't care what you say you want, it reflects what you consistently are. And the shift isn't out there, it's within, simpler than anyone dares to believe. So simple, in fact, that the ego often overlooks it, dismisses it, or tries to complicate it, to make it more challenging than it truly is. But those who truly shift, those who experience lasting transformative changes, know this. Simplicity isn't a trap, it's the truth. And the reason so few stabilize in their new reality isn't because they're doing it wrong. It's because they don't remain long enough in the signal that allows it to become real, to solidify into their experience. Let's state it plainly. You don't quantum shift by doing more. You shift when you align more cleanly, more calmly, more truthfully. You shift when you stop chasing the version of you that already exists and begin simply being them. This doesn't mean you fake it. It doesn't mean forcing joy when you feel grief. It means holding space for the full spectrum of experience without collapsing your identity to a limiting belief system. This is emotional mastery. This is energetic maturity. This is what the quantum field responds to. You're not here to chase the shift. You're here to embody the one who shifts easily. And once you realize that, life stops being a pursuit and becomes a mirror, reflecting back to you your innermost state of being. That's when you move through reality differently. Your energy enters the room before you do. You speak less, but are heard more. You ask less, but receive more. Not because you're manipulating the field, but because you are the field in harmony with itself. This is why the masters of manifestation don't teach methods, they transmit states. They help you feel something ancient, already alive within you.
They don't add, they reveal. And so, this is your invitation to remember what you already are, right now, in this moment. The timeline where you are clear, calm, magnetic, aligned. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because you are no longer outsourcing your frequency to your circumstances. Let this be the shift that stabilizes, the signal you return to again and again, not to perform, but to belong. And if you've made it this far, you already know this is not just a story, it's a transmission. And something within you, something subtle but unmistakable, has already begun to rearrange, to realign itself with its inherent potential. If you felt it, if it resonated, if something clicked, it's because you've already begun the journey, the process of aligning yourself with your true self, your inherent potential. This is not just a narrative, it's an invitation to embody the transformative power that resides within you, to live a life of alignment, coherence, and authentic resonance. The shift is not ahead of you, it's already happening, within you now. In you now. In you now.